Imagine if strangers could walk into your bank account and withdraw money whenever they felt like it, no questions asked, no limits, no consequences. You'd call the police immediately, change every password, hire armed security, maybe even move to a different country. But right now, at this very moment, strangers are making unlimited withdrawals from your mental bank account, and you're not just allowing it to, you're actively helping them rob you blind. They're stealing your focus while you scroll, draining your concentration while you check notifications, looting your cognitive resources while you jump between apps like a mental zombie. Machiavelli warned that the deadliest thieves are the ones who make you complicit in your own robbery. These digital pickpockets have convinced you that being constantly accessible equals being important, that instant responses equal being valued, that mental multitasking equals being productive. But every ping, every buzz, every notification is just another withdrawal slip being processed in real time. Your attention account started the day fully funded, capable of deep thought, sustained creativity, meaningful connection. But by lunch, you're mentally bankrupt, wondering where all your cognitive currency went. The cruelest part, you're holding the vault door wide open, handing them the keys, and thanking them for the convenience of being perpetually interrupted. You wouldn't let a stranger spend your money, so why are you letting strangers spend your mind? The theft begins the moment you wake up, before your feet touch the floor, before your first conscious thought completes itself. Your hand reaches for your phone. In that instant, the heist commences. Your mental bandwidth, the finite cognitive processing power you possess for the entire day, begins flowing to entities that view your consciousness as raw material to be harvested. Machiavelli understood that power dynamics always involve resource transfer. Someone always gains while someone else loses. In the digital age, the resource being transferred is attention, and the transfer is happening so smoothly, so seamlessly, that most people don't even realize they're being robbed. Phone contains approximately 80 apps. Each app was designed by teams of neuroscientists, behavioral psychologists, and addiction specialists whose sole purpose is to capture and monetize your mental bandwidth. They study your dopamine responses, map your behavioral patterns, and engineer psychological triggers specifically designed to fragment your focus. You're not using these apps, they're using you. Every notification is a carefully calculated interruption. The timing isn't random, it's algorithmic. The content isn't accidental, it's personalized. The frequency isn't arbitrary. It's optimized to maximize engagement while avoiding complete overwhelm. These systems know exactly how often to ping you, to keep you psychologically hooked without making you angry enough to uninstall. The first category of mental bandwidth thieves are the attention merchant social media platforms, news sites, entertainment apps. Their business model is simple. The longer they can keep your mind occupied, the more money they make from advertisers. Your focus is their inventory, your distraction is their profit margin. But these obvious thieves aren't the most dangerous ones. The real threat comes from bandwidth thieves, disguised as productivity tools, email platforms that train you to respond instantly, messaging apps that create artificial urgency, notification systems that fragment your day into 3-minute chunks. The second category consists of people in your personal life who have become accustomed to unlimited access to your mental resources. The friend who texts you every passing thought, the colleague who interrupts your deep work for non-urgent questions, the family member who expects immediate responses to their emotional needs. These people aren't malicious, they're simply unaware that they're making withdrawals from your cognitive bank account. The third and most insidious category includes your own mental habits, the compulsive checking, the mindless scrolling, the mental rehearsing of arguments that will never happen. These internal bandwidth thieves operate with your permission, making them the hardest to detect and eliminate. When Machiavelli analyzed political power, he understood that losing control of resources meant losing control of outcomes. The same principle applies to mental bandwidth. When you lose control of your attention, you lose control of your life's direction. Research shows that after each interruption, it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully return to the previous level of focus. If you're interrupted every 11 minutes, which is the average for knowledge workers, you never actually achieve deep focus at all. You spend your entire day in a state of partial attention, never fully present to any single task or moment. This cognitive fragmentation has measurable costs. Creative problem-solving abilities decline when attention is scattered. Memory formation suffers when focus is divided. Decision-making quality deteriorates when mental resources are depleted. You become less intelligent, less creative, less capable, not because your brain has changed, But because your mental bandwidth is being siphoned off to serve other people's agendas, the psychological impact is equally devastating. Constant interruption creates a state of continuous partial attention, a chronic stress response that leaves people feeling perpetually overwhelmed despite not accomplishing anything meaningful. It's the psychological equivalent of running on a treadmill, maximum effort with minimal forward progress. Machiavelli would have recognized this system immediately as a form of cognitive colonialism, just as historical colonizers extracted natural resources from conquered territories. Digital colonizers extract mental resources from conquered minds. The extraction happens with consent, but consent obtained through manipulation isn't true. Consent is exploitation disguised as choice. The power dynamic is deliberately obscured. Users believe they're in control because they can choose which apps to download and which notifications to allow. But this illusion of choice masks the reality that the entire system is designed to maximize extraction regardless of individual settings. It's like being offered a choice between different types of chains while remaining a prisoner. Machiavelli understood that the most effective forms of control are the ones that feel voluntary. Modern attention merchants have perfected this principle. They've created systems that make mental bandwidth theft feel like personal choice, social connection, and professional necessity. The theft succeeds because it exploits fundamental psychological vulnerabilities. Humans are wired to respond to novelty, to seek social validation, and to avoid missing important information. These survival mechanisms served our ancestors well in small tribal environments, but in the digital age, they become weapons used against us. Every notification triggers a small hit of anticipation. Will this be important, interesting, validating? The intermittent reinforcement schedule random rewards creates the same psychological dependency seen in gambling addiction. Users never know when the next ping will deliver something meaningful, so they check constantly to avoid missing it. Social validation has been weaponized through likes, comments, shares, and reactions. These metrics create artificial social hierarchies that keep people engaged in pursuing digital approval rather than real-world accomplishment. The pursuit of online validation becomes a full-time job that pays in dopamine hits rather than actual currency. Machiavelli's solution to resource theft was always the same: secure your territory through strategic control. Mental bandwidth requires the same approach: deliberate, systematic protection of cognitive resources. The first step is conducting a bandwidth audit. Track where your attention actually goes during a typical day. Most people discover that their mental energy is being consumed by activities that provide no meaningful return on investment. They're spending premium cognitive resources on bargain-based stimulation. The second step involves implementing attention barriers. Just as physical security requires locks, mental security requires friction. Remove apps that serve no essential purpose. Turn off all non-critical notifications. Establish communication windows where you're available for interruption and periods where you're completely unreachable. The third step requires changing the social dynamics around accessibility. Stop rewarding people for interrupting you by responding immediately to non-urgent communications. Train your social and professional networks to respect your mental boundaries by consistently enforcing them. The ultimate goal isn't to eliminate all interruptions. It's to regain conscious control over which interruptions you allow and when you allow them. Your attention should serve your priorities, not everyone else's convenience. This requires adopting what Machiavelli would call a fortress mentality toward mental resources. Your focus becomes precious territory that must be defended against constant invasion attempts. You become selective about which thoughts deserve your energy, which communications deserve immediate responses, and which activities deserve inclusion. In your mental space, the fortress isn't built through perfect execution. It's built through consistent boundary enforcement. Every time you choose deep work over shallow distraction, every time you delay responding to non-urgent communication, every time you consciously direct your attention rather than allowing it to be captured, you're strengthening your cognitive defenses. Mental bandwidth liberation begins with a simple recognition. Your attention is the most valuable asset you possess. It determines the quality of your thoughts, the depth of your relationships, the caliber of your work, and the richness of your experience. When that asset is being continuously extracted by others, you're not living your life, you're funding theirs. The thieves succeed because they've convinced you that being constantly available equals being important, that instant responsiveness equals being valuable, that mental multitasking equals being productive. These are lies designed to keep you compliant with your own cognitive robbery. True power in the digital age belongs to those who can maintain sustained attention in a world designed to fragment it. While others scatter their mental resources across dozens of trivial pursuits, you concentrate yours on what actually matters. While they respond to every ping and buzz like trained animals, you respond only when and how you choose. Your mental bandwidth is being stolen right now. The question isn't whether the heist is happening, the question is whether you're going to stop it. Because the person who controls their attention controls their life, and the person who allows their attention to be controlled becomes a mental servant to anyone with a notification system. The vault is yours. The thieves are inside. What are you going to do about it?